Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I have some new makeup that we're going to be trying out together today. I picked up a few things from Ulta a couple of days ago and they just showed up on my doorstep and we are going to dig into them all today. I've got a couple of eyeshadow palettes here, a cream bronzer and blush duo, and a foundation stick that I'll be honest guys, it was way expensive. I still am not sure if I even like it, but the fact that it was $16.99 kind of just makes me just a little bit annoyed. But other people seem to be talking about it, so we're trying it out together today. Hopefully that sounds like fun to you guys. Before we get into all the makeup, if you are a new visitor here, welcome to my channel. Please consider subscribing and make sure that your notifications are turned on. With that said, we do have a lot of stuff to try out, so let's get right to it. I do want to start with a primer because we are going to be trying out the new Milani Stick foundation or skin tint today. And it does say that your skin needs to be freshly moisturized. I'm a little bit skeptical. I don't know why. I just feel like a stick foundation seems like it's either gonna be too heavy or too light. I don't know, we'll see. I'm trying not to jump the gun and judge it prematurely. And also my other skepticism with this, it was $16.99. That is so expensive for something that I just imagine is not gonna last very long. I'll be honest guys, the last time I tried out a stick foundation was when I was a teenager. I did have a stick foundation from Bobbi Brown. It was the only high-end product I ever bought as a teenager because I was dealing with some like teenage acne at the time, and that thing I cherished and I did love, but I was a teenager. I barely had bad skin. I would just have an occasional breakout here or there. I have a lot more to cover now and I'm just afraid this is going to be, I don't know, maybe a little heavy, but we'll see. That looks like about how much you get. I also think if you use something like this every day, I just feel like you're gonna run out of it really fast. And for $16.99, I just like the idea that I'm getting a full ounce of liquid foundation and it's not gonna be something that just swiping it on my skin a few times and then it's gonna be gone. But we'll see. I know I'm kind of jumping the gun just a little bit. So I went with the shade number 7. So here's a little swatch of it on the back of my hand. Looks a little peachy to me. Hopefully we can get this to work for me. Let's add just a little bit of primer first. In fact, before we do that, I want to add a little bit of this. This is I got this on YesStyle like a year ago, maybe not quite a year ago. This is just a peach essence. So it's kind of a toner, but I actually, when I do use this, I like kind of just tapping it on my face. I don't even use a cotton ball anymore. I just get a little bit on my palms and just kind of press it into my skin. Then we're gonna top that with an additional primer. Let's go with my Flower Beauty Priming Whip. By the way, I just restocked my makeup shelf here on my desk and my eyeshadow palettes, kind of for the spring. I know it's technically not even close to spring yet. I mean, we are barely starting the month of February, but I just felt like getting out my spring makeup a little bit early in hopes that maybe that would make spring come a little bit faster. Now that my skin is freshly moisturized, let's jump right into the foundation stick. So I did read the instructions on this online, hoping to get a little bit of direction. It basically just said swipe on your face and blend it out. So that's what we're gonna do today. I'm just gonna kind of take it in the areas that I know I need the most coverage, kind of right here, the outer part of my cheek where I have some discoloration. On my chin here, I've got some spots. A little bit on like the lower part of my forehead. I don't wanna put too much on my forehead because I have a lot of lines on my forehead that things settle into, especially if they're heavy. I don't know, it's just such a weird way of putting foundation on. It feels so foreign to me. Let me know if you guys have tried this out, if you ended up liking it. Okay, so I'm just gonna jump straight in with a brush and blend that out. Kind of tap it in. So worried the color would be a little too peach. It seems to be going on okay though. I think it'll probably work. A part of me feels like a stick foundation would maybe be better for those who don't have discoloration or need coverage all over their face. If you just have a couple of patches where maybe you get a little bit of redness or you have some breakouts or discoloration. I need coverage everywhere, honestly. The older I get, I know I've said this a few times, but I have so much discoloration on my face that I really just need like a blanket of coverage to even things out for me, which is kind of unfortunate because I also feel like the older you get, the more foundation looks bad on your skin. So it's kind of a conundrum. I'm not quite sure what the solution is to that other than, I don't know, picking one or the other. Okay, so I think I'm gonna kind of keep it right there. Coverage wise, I honestly don't know how to characterize the coverage of this because I don't really want to layer it up too much and I didn't apply very much. I would say light medium coverage. I imagine you could probably build up a little bit more. You know what, maybe we will just add a little bit more right here. These are the two areas I have the most discoloration on my skin, outer part of my cheeks. So we'll tap a little bit more on there and just kind of see how it layers up. Okay, that did give me a little bit more coverage. This is one that I don't imagine I'm gonna have very definitive thoughts on this right away. I'll probably need a little bit of time playing around with this one. But I do think it's $16.99. I was hoping to be more impressed with it right off the bat. I don't know, it would have taken a lot. Let's add some concealer. Today I'm just gonna take my YSL All Hours concealer. This one is in the shade LW1. I'm just gonna add a little bit of that. A couple of these areas where I need a little bit more coverage. Also to my eyelids. I really like this concealer. It's very nice and liquidy. It has good medium coverage. It has this giant doe foot, but for how big this doe foot looks, I always end up having to dip back in a few times to get more product on it. Like, it doesn't actually hold a lot of concealer in it. Okay, and I'm going to blend that out today with my Wet n Wild sponge. Okay, now I want to add just a light layer of powder everywhere. I'm going to use the e.l.f. Halo Glow powder, the pressed powder. Let's do that with a large powder brush. I'm going to start on my eyelids just to make sure that concealer doesn't crease, and then I'll go across my forehead, tap it on my cheeks, down the sides of my mouth. Okay. Now let's jump over to my next new product that we're trying out today. So I saw Jen Phelps had talked about these new makeup products from LA Girl in a couple of videos over the last month or two, and they caught my attention. So we're gonna start with the LA Girl On Cloud 9 blush and bronzer duo. So I think for this one today, I think I might just try out the bronzer and save the blush for later, because we have another blush product that we're gonna be trying out today that I'm even more curious to try out. Let's just have a look at this though. I'm so curious about this texture. I am such a fan of cream bronzers and cream blushes in particular. So I am very excited to try these out. Okay, these are truly creamy. Oh my goodness. I was thinking, because they say they're like a bouncy texture. Oh, that's interesting. So when you rub your finger over it, it feels very almost buttery, but as you blend it out on the back of your hand, it feels almost like a powdery kind of finish. So this is a really interesting texture. I'm not sure I've felt anything quite like this before, so I'm curious to see how this is going to apply. So just real quick, there is the shade on the back of my hand. By the way, I have Misty Mauve is the one that I went with. I think they had 3 different shade options, but this is the Misty Mauve one. Let's go ahead and swatch the blush as well. This one feels even more powdery, the blush actually. Let's give it a swatch. Okay, there it is. Oh, that's a beautiful color. Ooh, I love that. Let's go with this brush. Actually, this is my Sydney Grace. It's just kind of like a dense, sort of like a foundation brush. I'm gonna tap that in. I'm gonna tap some of the excess on the back of my hand. I feel like this is gonna be too pigmented, but okay, yeah, it's very light. You could really build this one up in your brush, I think. There we go, that's better. Very okay. I'm gonna be honest, guys, not a big fan of this shade so far. Very ashy. You see that? Looks like I just put gray, like a stripe of gray. This is definitely not a bronzer shade for me. This is a contouring shade for me, and I went up way too high with this color. Darn it, it looks so nice in the pan, but it's going on so ashy. So this is something that I would use much more light-handedly. Maybe use it to kind of sculpt my brow bone here, maybe the sides of my nose, my forehead. I don't mind it for that. I mean, but it's just not gonna warm up your skin at all. I'm gonna need a lot of blush today to help me out. And I really screwed up on this side. I'm gonna go back to my concealer sponge and try and pull off some of what I built up there, just as I was anticipating this to be more of a little bit warmer than it turned out being. I'm not gonna say I hate it. I definitely would prefer this color to be a little bit more warming for me. I just like a shade that adds more warmth than a cool kind of sculpting shade like this, unless you do a lot of contouring and shaping of your face, which I'm just not really, I'm not good at that. I honestly don't feel like I have the bone structure to do that type of a thing on me. Like I already have kind of an old lean face, so probably not gonna be something I reach for all the time. There are times that I will use a contour and a bronzer. If I'm like really going all out on my makeup, I'll put a tiny bit of contour on first and then go on with a bronzer shade. This might be good for something like that, but I just know it's not something I'm gonna use all the time. We'll see about the blush. It does look very pretty. The shade looks really pretty. But today we're not gonna try out that blush because I also picked up a blush from Makeup Revolution. This is one of their jelly blushers. These look like they might be a dupe for the Milk Makeup jelly tints. So I really wanted to try these out today. I ended up going with the shade Peach. I think they only had 2 or 3 shades available, if I remember right. So I'm so curious to see if the formulas of these compare. And I also want to try to find a shade, like what shade this most matches. So this is Peach. I'm gonna see if that is close to Chill, which is one of my favorites from Milk. I do have that here on my desk. So let's just give them a side-by-side swatch and kind of see what we're looking at. Okay, pretty close. Actually, let me pull one other shade out that I think this might be a close dupe for. Okay, here is the shade Spritz. This looks like a closer dupe. So here is Milk Makeup's Chill. This is the Makeup Revolution one, and then on the other side is the shade Spritz. So this looks like a dupe. Those two are very similar to one another, very kind of peachy orange. They do feel like a very similar texture, very similar kind of dry down time on the back of your hands. So I have high hopes for this. You guys know I love the Milk jelly tints because they are so long wearing. I think they are a little bit tricky to apply at times. But once you get the hang of how to apply them, if you're looking for something that's just not gonna come off of your cheeks, maybe you have oily skin or for whatever reason you find blush to be the first thing that fades off of your face, once they're set down, they last all day long. I mean, they truly are like a tint. So I'm just really working that into my brush on the product itself. Then we're gonna tap it onto the back of my hand and slowly apply this. I feel like this one's a little harder to get off of the product than the Milk Makeup one. It just seems like it's maybe not quite as wet. I don't know. But it's coming. It just takes a minute to build it up. I'm gonna go around the edges. I always like to do this with really with any blush that I use, but especially these ones that can get a little bit strongly pigmented. Not bad. I will say I would recommend saving the little cap that comes with it because these are the type of product that I feel like will dry out if you aren't careful. So keep the little extra cap on it so they don't dry out. This lid does seem nice and tight, which is nice. That'll be interesting to see how those over time, if maybe the cheaper one dries out faster than the Milk Makeup one. Possibly not, I guess time will tell. But just based on kind of a first impression, it is very similar to the Milk Makeup one, I will say that. Other than that, it just takes a minute longer to build it up. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of highlighter. I'm just gonna take let's go with my Revlon Skin Lights highlighter right here. Okay, that blush definitely saved the day. I feel like I saved this situation here. I was a little bit worried about that, but that was gonna be a video destroyer once I swiped that gray contour shade all over my cheek. Okay, let's move on to my brows and then we'll jump into the eyeshadow palettes, which I'm so excited to try. I just wanna do something really quick for my brows today, so I'm just gonna take a little bit of my e.l.f. Shape and Stay wax. I'm gonna brush that through my brows, and then we're gonna go on top with a tinted brow gel. Let's see, I can go with my Refi one, or let's go with this one. This one's from a brand called Laka. I got this on YesStyle over a year ago. Don't know if you can still find this one. It's a little bit dark. I have to be careful, but when you're in a hurry, a nice dark tinted brow gel can be a really quick way to just... Okay, let's jump into the eyeshadow palette. So I, again, saw these recently on Jen Phelps' channel, and she talked about them in a couple YouTube shorts as well. They are the LA Girl On Cloud 9 Bouncy Eyeshadow Palette. So when I saw these online, even when she was talking about them, I kind of just assumed that they were like a cute little dupe for the Natasha Denona palettes. I mean, they looked similar, a 5-pan, kind of smaller eyeshadow palette. You guys, look at the size difference in these things. Insane. I mean, you get a ton more product in these ones than the Natasha Denona. In fact, why don't we just see how much product is in them. So the Natasha Denona has 0.8 grams times 5, so 4 grams total. The LA Girl ones has 5 grams total. So it does have more, but not as much more as I was initially thinking, just looking at how massive these are. So I picked up 2 different palettes. I went with the Airy Taupe one, which is this one right here. It's kind of got the cooler tones. It's got a shimmery white. Then I also went with this one, which is Breezy Nude. This one looks lovely. This is the one I'm so excited to try. We'll probably try out this one today, and I might dip into this dark kind of plum shade right here as well. We'll see how dark I end up wanting to go. I will insert a close-up of each of these for you guys right here though, so you can see how both color stories or palettes look swatched on my arm. These shimmers are just glorious. That I saw Jen swatch these on a YouTube short, and I think I went on to Ulta's website and ordered them that night, which doesn't happen to me that often anymore. I have to be honest, guys. It's rare that an eyeshadow palette or really any makeup product in general gets me so excited that I'll go online and actually order it right then when I see someone talk about it. I just have so much makeup now that I'm just not that eager to try out a lot of new things. I do just want to swatch this beautiful shimmer. I recommend going to Jen's channel and see her swatch these. She does such a good job with her swatches. I still, after all these years, have not figured out how to get my lights and my camera equipment all just right to live swatch. I just can't do it. I don't know. I am not the best at that, I will admit. Okay, I also want to swatch this white shade right here. This is a very bright white. These are a little bit, they're very sparkly. They have a lot of glitter, like micro glitter in them, but they're not as pigmented. I mean, they're more of like a glitter topper, kind of like a sheer topper, which I actually love. They kind of remind me of Natasha Denona's, some of her glitter toppers. Beautiful. Even that white is stunning. It's kind of a bluish white, but I actually like that, especially that the white is not super pigmented or overly icy. You could top that on your lid and it not look too in your face, especially if you have like a matte nude underneath. I do also want to swatch, just because I haven't swatched these quite yet. I know you guys have seen the swatches, but I want to swatch one of these mattes. Now, you guys know I love a creamy matte. That's probably one of the biggest reasons why I love Natasha Denona eyeshadows so much, is because, not that alone, but she's one of the few brands that will do a creamy matte formula and does it really well. So I'm curious to try these. Ooh, this one feels even more. Oh, I can't wait to try these, you guys. They feel really nice. I love a good creamy matte. Okay, let's just jump right in. So we're gonna start off in the nude one, the breezy nude. And let's start in this kind of light peachy shade right here. I know that with my bright lights, it looks kind of ivory in toned. It's actually more peach toned. I don't know if you're picking that up, but for that, I'm going to take my Angie Hot and Flashy A501 brush. This one's kind of like a C-shaped sort of brush. It's a little bit more dense. I'm gonna tap that into brush and we're going to build that. Okay, it's lighter on the lid. I probably should have swatched that one first. That's actually really light. I was thinking this would be like a transition shade. Let's put it under my brow. It's pretty light. Maybe it is more like an ivory. It goes on like an ivory. I mean, in the pan, it looks so peach. But it's pretty light, even on my pretty fair skin. Okay, let's go with this shade right here. And this one, let's try adding to the crease. See how much color this is gonna give us. Pretty. It's also quite light though. I mean, it's not showing up a whole lot on me. Okay, I'm gonna take a little bit more. I'm building this up pretty heavily in my brush. Take a little bit of this under the lower lash line. The shade is not nearly as dark on the eyes as it appears in the pan, so be aware of that. I'm curious to see if maybe the same is true with these shades over here. Let's go with the darkest shade in the nude palette and see how much depth we can get out of this one. Kind of doing the same thing as I did before, just going a little bit lower, concentrating it more right in the crease. Oh, that's beautiful. That's a pretty color. Hopefully these don't crease on me. I do love these types of formulas. Natasha, again, does these formulas. Nabla has a couple of palettes that have a creamier formula in them. And Nabla and Natasha's do not crease on me at all. Huda Beauty has done some creamy formulas like similar to this before. Hers feel a little more creamy to me than these, and they have creased on me in the past. So curious to see how these hold up on my eyes. I will keep you guys posted on that. Okay, I actually want to go even deeper on the outer corner, so we're gonna jump over to the other palette. This is the Airy Taupe. And with that same brush, I'm just wiping it off a bit. I wanna take that darkest shade, actually scratch that. Let's use a different brush. We're gonna use a small, just a small kind of pinpoint blending brush. This is the A504. I wanna build this up along the lash line just to see how dark this shade's gonna be. Again, this is this very dark, it's a brown, but it has, you can see it has a little bit of like a blackberry kind of tint to it. Okay, this one is darker. That's pretty. They blend so fast. I'm just gonna take this, I just wiped this brush off. I just wanna blend that out. Okay, that blended almost instantly. Now, let's go with the shimmer. So I'm gonna go back to the nude palette. We're gonna try out these two shimmers in here, starting with the one in the middle. I'm gonna apply these with my finger today. Put that all over the center of the lid. And then the lighter, kind of champagne, pop right on the inner corner. Again, these are pretty sheer. I feel like you could use either of these all over your lid. This one is definitely a little lighter. Hopefully you're picking that up, but both of them are quite sheer. They're very pretty. They just, if you're looking for something to kind of get rid of discoloration, you might want to put a matte underneath it first, because these aren't actually going to apply much pigment. They're kind of just a sheer topper. Very pretty texture though. They're really sparkly and beautiful, but very refined sparkle. Okay, now I'm gonna go back to that initial brush that I used, that kind of C-shaped brush. I'm just gonna go around the outer edge. I'm gonna throw on just a tiny bit of liner. Let's use my good old Wet n Wild, and then I'm gonna throw on a couple coats of mascara. Let's use my Tower 28 mascara today. Then I'm gonna come back with you guys. We'll finish off with the lips, and I'll share my final thoughts on these makeup products. Okay, here are the finished eyes. Let's finish off with the lips. So we're just gonna add a little bit of lip liner. I don't have anything new. For today, let's just go with my Maybelline Lifter liner in Line Leader. Man, that's a tongue twister. I love these lip liners, you guys, but they need to be sharpened, maybe more than any lip liner I've ever tried. I feel like every 2 times I use them, they get dull, and I don't fill in my lips or anything with my lip liner typically. I just barely overline. These ones are just so creamy. Kind of wish they were retractable, but that's okay. Okay, and I want to top that off with a lipstick. Let's go with this one. This one is from Milani. This is the color Pleasure. I think this one is matte. Oh, it's pretty light too. I've probably only used that like once or twice before. And then let's throw a gloss on top of that. Let's go with my CoverGirl Coconuts About You lip gloss. All right, and last but not least, let's add just a little bit of setting spray. We're gonna use my Power Grip Dewy Setting Spray from e.l.f. Let me take my glasses off. I don't wanna have to clean them when I'm done. And voila, there we have it. This is the completed makeup look. What do you guys think? Let's go over a couple of my final thoughts on some of these products. So I have to say, you guys, these eyeshadows are very interesting. I like them. I love the shimmers. The mattes are an interesting formula. They're very creamy and they're way lighter than what you see in the pan. So I kind of feel like it threw me off just a little bit, building an eye look, not expecting these to go on as light as they did. That said, I think this is a beautiful eye look. Just be aware, especially if you are looking at this one, the Breezy Nude one, which is the one that I was the most excited about. Like this shade right here at the corner looks quite dark. That's gonna be more like a transition shade for me. I mean, that's not gonna give me any depth at all, which is fine for an everyday look. I don't always want a smoky outer corner like this as much as I do it here on my channel and videos for you guys and on camera. This palette does create a beautiful everyday look, but especially if you are someone that has more of a medium skin tone, these shades are significantly lighter than they appear in the pan, so just be aware of that. I am excited to keep playing with them. I love the shimmers. They remind me so much of some of Natasha Denona's glitter topper or shimmer formulas in some of her palettes that I haven't seen a lot of, especially drugstore companies, do something similar to that. So it's really fun to see something so unique coming from a brand like LA Girl. Now I did not mention these are each $8 a piece, and also the blush and bronzer duo was $8. I believe that the Makeup Revolution Jelly Blush was $8, and then of course I already complained about the fact that the Milani Conceal and Perfect Stick was $16.99. $16.99. So expensive. I'll be honest, I am a little bit disappointed in this bronzer shade because I do love the formula of these. I might have to go in and try out another shade option because, again, looking at this in the pan, they look quite dark, but they don't go on super pigmented and dark. So maybe going with like more of a different shade that's a little more bronzy and brown toned than something so cool and ashy would work better for me. I mean, just look at that little swatch on my finger. Doesn't that look so much lighter than what you're expecting maybe coming from the pan? Maybe that's just part of this kind of creamy formula across the board, kind of what to expect. I will keep you guys posted on this blush. Maybe we'll come back and do a video where we try this out together because it does look lovely. The shade looks lovely. I can't wait to try out that formula. As for the jelly blush, I will keep you posted on how this compares to the Milk Makeup one. I do think it was a little bit harder to get on because I had to build it up a little bit more. That said, that might be easier for some of you that find the Milk Jelly tints to be so strongly pigmented that you can almost overdo it with them, and then once you overdo it, you can't really get it off because it truly is, those things stain your cheeks for days. I mean, they do not come off until you really remove them at night. These seem similar. It's gonna take me a little time to play with them, but I think they're pretty close so far. And of course, I'll keep you posted on the Milani Conceal and Perfect foundation stick. My skin looks fine today. I mean, I feel like where I really needed coverage, I ended up needing that from my concealer. I'll have to keep playing with this to kind of figure out how much you really need to apply to get a good solid level of coverage from it. But again, that's $16.99. Did I tell you guys this was $16.99? I don't know, I'm having a hard time getting over that, but I'll keep you guys posted as I play with it a little bit more. Hope you guys enjoyed this one today. If you have tried out some of these products, let us know how you like them down in the comments below. But that is going to do it for now. Stay tuned. I have a kind of shop my stash video coming up for you guys. What I have picked out in my everyday makeup drawers to get me through the rest of the winter and hopefully this soon to be spring. So let that be a reminder, if you haven't yet subscribed, be sure to do that before you leave. But that's gonna do it for today. Thank you guys again. I will see you in my next video. Bye. Okay, I discovered a makeup pet peeve recently. It's a very seemingly silly thing that really, when it happens, annoys me. When my spoolie comes loose and it starts to, when I'm using it, like it rolls, it twists. Oh, that drives me crazy. So that's what, oh, that's sad. I need my phone for that kind of math. I am ridiculous, honestly, you guys, my math skills suck bad.